Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a recap of the 10th episode in the series Creating Peace in Troubling Times. We actually had only the last 20 minutes or so of the webinar recorded, so I'm going to summarize for you now the first 40 minutes. We started off with a few jokes, which I will tell you some of those towards the end of this recording. But the first question we tackled was a question from Bob, which was, how do you deal with the internal conflicts between tactical, short-term, feel-good action and acting strategically? Marshall Rosenberg told this parallel about a man sitting beside a river and seeing a baby being carried away by the current. He rushed in and rescued the baby, and as soon as he gets back to shore, he sees two more babies in the river. So he catches the attention of passers-by, and they both go out and rescue the two babies. As soon as they get back to shore, what do they see floating by? 4 babies. Then Marshall asks, how long do we let this go on before someone decides to take a walk upstream to find out who's throwing babies in the river? The internal conflict is that this is very difficult to decide to stop rescuing innocent victims of the current system in order to change your efforts to working on the longer term objective of changing the system. Systems change work doesn't provide the immediate positive feedback that saving babies does. And, moreover, every moment that I spend on systems change work is a moment when another baby floats by and doesn't get rescued. So it's easier to guilt trip myself for not spending every moment of my life dealing with the suffering that I see all around me. What are your thoughts on how to face this dilemma? Well, Kit and I and others contributed to that conversation, and we had a few thoughts, and I'll attempt to summarize them here. Kit said that Gandhi recommended that 80 to 90% of our effort should go on systems change. So that certainly answers a part of that question. He also spoke how so many things needed to be done and how there are so many roles to be played in making our world a better place. And so it's obviously important to focus on what your skill set is, what needs you see that you can contribute to, and what brings you most alive, what gives you the most satisfaction from working on. So if you like being on the front line and in the river, so to speak, or on the coalface, or working on the street with homeless people, versus if you actually more like working on a more organizational level, or on creating systems, or thinking more long-term or strategically, or acting towards achieving those things, then that's an obvious focus for your time. I would also say that we need to get more people involved in helping to make our world more peaceful and loving and connected. A great sort of entry point into getting people involved in a cause is getting them face-to-face experiencing some of these issues. So getting them in the river to really connect with the problem. And that might mean being on the street helping homeless people, or some other face-to-face, real action-oriented, immediate call to cause. We can then invite these people, or they may indeed invite themselves, to join the more strategic work that needs to be done to create new systems, to change old systems, and to help influence and evolve our culture to be more peaceful and loving and nonviolent. We also talked about the importance of taking the time to go inside yourself and, quote, extravate your retributive justice system. So much, as we know, inside ourselves there's blame and there's judgment, and taking the time to look at the system within ourselves. As we know, in most Western cultures and around the world, we have a justice system that is based on retribution, and the work of Dominic Barter and others around the world on restorative justice is obviously a way this is changing in the external world. But it's important that we take the time to look inside ourselves at how this culture of retribution is manifesting itself in our own hearts and minds. To examine it and look to change the system using awareness, forgiveness, love, compassion, and new habits, so that we can in turn change our own retributive justice system and then help to be a change in the world for changing the external retributive justice system. And in a moment, we're going to hear the rest of the recording that we captured today from the conversation, where Kit talks about the importance of making space for grieving. But before we jump into that, I will read out a couple of the jokes that we shared earlier on the call, which you missed. And they were, how many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. And what do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. Here we are with Kit for the last part of the call.
And we can stay rooted in not knowing. We can stay rooted in the idea that I said some weeks ago that essentially, honestly, despair is a form of arrogance. We don't know what's going to unfold. There have been other times in human history we can look back on where people didn't really know what was going to happen or how they were going to endure. They didn't know. So we're not the first ones. The circumstances that we're up against are unique. But the dynamic of human beings being up against things that they don't know how to tackle, that's not new. So those are some of the things that sustain me and keep me interested. And the systems thinking also sustains me because life is so resilient. So many beautiful stories of different parts of the world where the ecosystem was really so deeply harmed that it looked like it would take years, if ever, for it to rebound. And there's so many hopeful stories from nature of that rebound that's occurred, from oceans to fields. You can find them. So find those stories of resilience, of extraordinary resilience. One of them that I can point you toward is a little film on YouTube called Greening the Desert, where this really desolate, salt-soaked chunk of 40 acres near the Dead Sea in Jordan was able to rebound with amazing speed and resilience. So we can find those stories and sustain ourselves with them. I'm going to stop myself because I could rant on about this. All right.
Well, feel free to send in any questions that you have or any comments that you have on anything we've spoken about today, or what Kit was just sharing with us. I think, philosophy and stories would be two things I would suggest that we share with our young people, as Kit just said, the different philosophies about life and how they can contribute. A quote that I like is, "This too shall pass." And you can use that in times of hope and enjoyment, that this will pass and make you appreciate it more. And of course, you can use that in times of despair to know that this too shall pass. And then, of course, stories. There's so many stories of people who have, made a difference in the world that can give us hope and inspiration.
Yeah, I'm reading one right now, yet another book referral for me, by Ken Butigan, Butigan. It's called Nonviolent Lives: People and Movements Changing the World Through the Power of Active Nonviolence. It's a great book. Several dozen people referenced in here, and it's very, very current all the way to the Keystone Pipeline. And they're all just a couple pages long, so it's not a terribly onerous thing to sit and read with younger people or read with your partner, read in your community, and just reflect on what does this story have to teach us about what we need to do next. What does this story teach us? So that's a good one. There's so many resources we're really lucky to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of them. But I think that one other thing I want to say with young people and anyone, and this is kind of my last meta point I wanted to have a chance to make today, was how critical it is to make space for grieving right now. I'm thinking about, I was talking to someone this morning about the idea of having grief hygiene. I want to remember to sleep. I want to remember to drink water. I want to remember to, eat food that's good for me. I want to also remember that my system needs to grieve. I can only mop up. I can only, I can only mop up so much, soak up so much without needing to wring myself out. And for me, that wringing out is a chance to release the pressure of that wringing releases some of the grief I'm feeling, some of the anxiety I might be carrying. So I'm actively seeking right now, where can my grief hygiene become deeply immersed in my life, super integrated. I'm excited that in 2 weeks from today, a friend of mine is coming to hold a grief circle for women that I know, and then I'm going to go and hold one for her and her crew. So I'm looking for places where people can really come together and speak the hard things to each other. And Joanna Macy's work, again, is an extraordinary resource for those of us who are looking for the rituals and ideas for how to do that. And we don't have to create our own. We can stand on other people's shoulders. I've also been reading some excerpts from a book by this guy, Francis Weller, and I'm super interested in his work. And I bet other people here know and have learned other resources. So when people of any age are coming to me, and they're wanting, they are feeling brokenhearted or concerned about the state of the world, I don't want to just distract them or educate them. I also want to stay with the truth of their concern. And I can state the dream, which is, there's, and I actually say this to young people all the time. I did it to the staff here a couple weeks ago after I'd been traveling for a while. I just looked at everybody, most of whom are 25 years younger than me or somewhere around there, and I just looked at them and I just said, I want you all to know, I wish the world was different. I so wish the world was different for each and every one of you. I want it to be an easier place, and it's not. So sometimes it doesn't have to be some, 2-hour weeping. It could also just staying in touch with the truth of it in the moment when it comes up. So don't suppress or rush past out of your own discomfort the grief of others. If you can, keep it company. And that requires that you have an acquaintance with your own grief. Just like we need, in order for us to keep the other people's anger company, we need to know our own anger. I'd say that grief requires the same kind of discipline. I was really excited at our staff meeting. One of our young staff members was reflecting a couple of days ago that she had been through 2 really hard processes. One with a friend of hers who was having a breakdown, and one with a student at one of the schools where we work. And she said that the intensity of what they were needing from me helped me to release some of my own pain. I was like, it helped me to move out of my own numbness, so we can enliven each other's lives by being willing to stand in the fire with them in whatever ways we need to. If you're not grieving, if there's not a space in grief in your life for grief right now, I really would like to strongly encourage you to think of conscious grieving. There's a little line from Rilke that says, "This darkness makes us small." And using the energy to keep our grief at arm's length is energy we could use for other things. So I hit pause one more time.
We had some comments come through as you were talking, Kit, saying, Jane said, high five on that. I'm reflecting on that myself when we're talking about the importance of grief. And Lauren Redden with a suggestion saying, in Washington State, there's a website called sacredgroves.com, and they have events around grief work there. And that's sacredgroves.com. And then before, when we were talking about stories and youth, Timo said, I'm really appreciating the reminder to connect to stories of resilience as a source of hope and inspiration.
I just was looking at resources, too. As I said, I'm trying to find things myself, and I haven't seen it yet, but one of the things I just found online is a new film by Josh Fox, who made that film Gasland. It's called How to Let Go of the World. So I'm interested in that one.
Yeah, I like this idea of keeping grief company. And as far as Joanna Macy's rituals are concerned, Timo taking part in the Truth Mandala at Findhorn was still one of the most powerful experiences of my life. So if you ever have the opportunity to participate in a Truth Mandala, I couldn't recommend it more. Yeah. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left, Kit, and a few jokes to tell. Anything you want to say on those topics before we do some jokes and some gratitude and some announcements?
Yeah, it all sounds good to me.
Okay, good. Well, Timo sent one through, and the joke is, what's orange and sounds like a parrot? A carrot! Which I like. And he also emailed one through about Gandhi. And it's funny because I'll tell you a story before I share the joke. Gandhi is, in my mind, is someone I have a lot of respect and reverence for. And I read the Gandhi card I pulled yesterday with my wife. Actually, talked about how he was very uncomfortable with being seen as some kind of a saint, and was really didn't like that he was viewed that way, and he wanted everyone to know that they could all make a difference. I was going to bring the card up and read it up, but it's downstairs. But in any case, if you have the Gandhi deck or you buy the Gandhi deck, you'll get all kinds of stuff like that. So when I read this joke, I kind of cringed because it's like, oh my God, he's joking about Gandhi. But I think Gandhi might like it. So the quote is, or the joke is, Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, walked barefoot most of the time, which produced an impressive set of calluses on his feet. He also ate very little, which made him rather frail. And with his odd diet, he suffered from bad breath. This made him a supercalloused, fragile mystic hexed by halitosis. And then he also sent in, a man once asked Gandhi what he thought of Western civilization. He said, I think it would be a good idea. Do you have any thoughts on the way that Gandhi was revered, and even some of Gandhi's own thoughts or comments on that, Kit?
He was worried. It was back to that comparison thing I was talking about earlier, that we were so busy comparing ourselves to other people that we wouldn't unfold in the way that we needed to. And he didn't think he was anything special. He was just someone who, for whatever reason, was gifted with the ability to keep just following his own truth. That was what his autobiography was. And he wasn't perfect, but he was extraordinary. And that's what he wanted urgently for everyone, to become as extraordinary as they could be, without needing to be perfect, but to be extraordinary, not limiting ourselves, not comparing ourselves, being willing to state our dreams, willing to do what we needed to do to have these breakthrough lives. Yep.
I hear that. And we had a few comments come through. Peace doesn't mean there is no noise or trouble or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. And someone wrote in saying, completely agree with you, Thomas. Participating in a Truth Mandala 3 weeks ago here in Austin, so strong and enriching. Thank you. Very thankful for this experience. Well, should we get into a little gratitude mode again as we have this final moment? So let's just all take a moment to be grateful for today, or whatever you'd like to be grateful for, and if you'd like to share, you can type those in. Kit, have you got anything in particular from the work that's been going on at the Garden Shoot that you'd like to share with us today, or something that you're grateful for?
I'm excited about our 9 months intensive happening next week, and we've got friends from Liberia and Venezuela, and a friend from Cameroon will be joining a bunch of Rochester educators, and it's mostly going to be the young people that work here leading the retreat, and I'm just going to be chilling, doing my favorite thing, which is to bask in the reflected glow of empowered young people. So that's what I'll be doing next week.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, as we look to wrap up, this is our 10th and final in this series. So if you've enjoyed it, please do support the work of the Ghana Institute, the work that Kit and her fellows do. And you can go on the website, ghanainstitute.org, and check out that, and of course make a donation. And for myself and from everyone on here, Kit, we're so grateful for the time that you've given us on your Saturdays to share your thoughts and answer our questions and be with us. It's always an honor and a pleasure to spend time with you. So I'm very grateful that we've had this opportunity to speak with you so regularly and make this a practice that we all can enjoy together. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's a gift, and it was it's a gift that you gave everybody because you were the one who said we should do this. So thank you.
Cool beans. Well, I actually forgot to.
And I would just
Please go.
love any email feedback back to me and Thomas. We love reading those together. And so if anyone wants to offer that, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, we love getting those emails. So if you're willing to send one, that would be amazing. And just as we go, Timo says, "Thank you, Kit. I'm so grateful for the wisdom and presence you've shared, and Thomas for your care, organizing, and inspiration." So here's to that. I'll tell you a joke before we go. Why are pirates called pirates? Because they are.
I'm so grateful to be so easily amused. Aren't we wonderful? That's great. Well, thank you, everybody.
Well, yeah. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Kit. Speak to you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.